Okay, so I've set up the game. What did I do? Well, first of all, randomly placed all the cubes using a little baggie and gave people money, 350 credits each, 5 players. I always like to play these guys in the maximum number of players for whatever reason. You can see what you want there. For these, I have chosen not to use the little faces, which are great and everything, but instead to use numbers. That'll help me if players get knocked out or whatever. I had a little sheet last time where I tried to keep track of the colors, and I did it fine, I think, but you know, honestly, having the numbers on them is more helpful to me. Unfortunately, some of the colors are a little dark to see, but I'm using the same color order that I did last time. And I randomly picked a company which is not in the game, and I believe it's the SM this time, which was in the game last time. The one that wasn't was down here. With where the cubes are, that's something you kind of have to analyze before you make any decisions on the play. So, in particular, black cubes are really the most valuable at the end of the game. So you want your company to be near some black cubes if you can if you can manage it, which makes these 3 companies kind of more interesting than most in that side. But the next most valuable are reds, and those are kind of spaced out along the edges. SM actually looks like it's got a nice setup, a couple of blacks near it. Too bad it's out of play. It would have been a good choice, even though it's near the rift and everything. On the other hand, LP is definitely interesting. I is definitely interesting. A couple blacks and a red. Down here, MV with a couple reds, and maybe not so bad, but not in an optimal space. Now, what comes of all this? Well, that immediately shows you some good companies. What are bad companies? Well, what's kind of interesting is the yellows make good money early. Your company might be able to move out of areas that are rich to begin with to areas that are richer later on. So, to some extent, blue and gray are not terrible. They're in positions where they can make better money early on than the blacks can, although by the time the upgrade to green comes, they've already fallen behind. So those are only really a bonus right at the beginning of the game. And you probably don't usually want your tokens there, but you can see they're kind of in the middle. So they might be important token spots to get to that rocket launch pad. The whites are just shit, and they're off at the edges. That means those are just not going to get reached. One interesting thing that's different from the last time I played, this sucker is an orange. Orange is not bad. It's okay. And it might mean that there's a little more opportunity for the cross-board connections to be worthwhile. But again, they're really hard. So it's hard enough in a game where everything's kind of... it would be difficult to organize, you know, to plan for getting a top-ranked train. That's a hard task to do. You can usually swing that if that's your desire. The really hard task is, hey, I want the 2-5 trains on one of my companies. You know, that's always tough. And I do it every now and then, and it pretty much guarantees you a victory. But not only do you have to do that, you have to get the route going across, and it's not really clear where the choke points are going to be. I'm not used to the game enough, you know, like in an 1830 game I can look and say, those are the spaces that I'm going to either have to run around or do something. Now this is a game where, look at this, boom, this is a freebie, so this kind of helps. But, you know, there's room to slide through. The difficulty here is going to be the track lays. The limitations on the track are what's going to really make the map difficult to move across, even though there aren't cities all over that are dotted. And there's a fair, you know, there's enough dots to clutter up the map. So, and enough desire to put dots down. Dots are as important here as they are anywhere else. So the first choice goes to the player who's number 1, which is blue. Last game, he was the guy who got knocked out of the game, but he did it out of stupid play. And he has this first option. Do you want the old landing site? 20 bucks. You will lose money on it. You lose that 20 bucks. It's not ever going to be worth anything much to you. You can get up to 10 of it back. But What does the old landing site do for you? Well, you get this SD token, and I've decided that this is not a free base. What it is a space that allows you to reserve the right to buy a base there, a depot. That's interesting, but it also prevents you from grabbing first company. So it is actually a much lamer thing than it appears to be. You probably don't want to turn it around right away. You're spending 20 bucks for a reservation for your first for one of your corporations to pop up wherever you like. That could be valuable, there's no question. But the nice thing about it is it more or less ensures I will get another corporation. Is that enough? I don't know. I honestly don't know. This is like a 5-player game of 1830 where you have that option. Well, clearly there you want the Saki Valley because any 2 privates is probably a good thing. Guaranteed 2 privates, even if you get the first 2, is generally a good thing. Here, this one's so iffy that it might not be worth that second private. However, you might get nothing if you don't take it. Like, it's the choice between guaranteed 2 and a possible bidding war or whatever. Now that I've played it once, I am going to use my normal bidding procedure, and I don't know what to do about that. Because again, it's not that great. I'm going to go with 1 to 4, I'm going to pick it up. Okay, so he is indeed just going to buy that. It's 20 bucks. It's going to guarantee him last place going into the first operating round, though. And that's troublesome. I'm going to keep this counter so that I can bid with it if need be. Second player gets an option. Well, I could get something guaranteed, no problem, as cheap as I can get anything, which is the UN contract. I do not find this a terribly good choice. So, what am I going to do? 1 through 5 here. And with 6, I'll just look for the best choice. Because getting something guaranteed at the cheaper price might be worthwhile. I can see somebody doing it. Instead, we're going to bid on the spaceport. The spaceport is really cool. It means one of my corporations doesn't have to hook up, and I can hold it for that. So I'm going to throw a $5 bid on the spaceport, and that's got a price of 40. So I've got like 50 bucks aside, and I could put that under the counter or whatever. But I got enough cash. Third player. This is always, you know, making the decisions on the bidding in a solo game is always so difficult because it kind of sets a lot of what's going to happen early in the game. So again, there's 5 companies available. 6th one, I'll make a personalized decision. So 1, I will just buy the UN contract for the 25 bucks that it is, which means the spaceport goes for 45. That was easy. We're down here. That means he's up. He has 6 choices. The research lab, how good is this? This is the plus 20 marker. If you're kind of off on your own area of the map, you might be the only person getting it. If you put it here, you're an idiot, and that's what I did. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 1 through 3 I take this. No. 1 or 2. Nah, that doesn't make sense. Hey, I don't know. 1 through 3 I take this. Otherwise, I roll again at even odds. Okay. I'm going to just grab the spaceport for 60. I think it's a good deal at 60. So, and that says I get 40 back. Or, I'm sorry, the research lab. That puts me on the last player. He can get the tunnel company. The tunnel company is great. It's got this big $200 hit. So you can make 100 bucks off of it, which is as good as you can do. You get 20 bucks per round from it. It gives you bonuses on these. I don't know that the Rift looks all that valuable. I'm just going to pony that up. I don't see any reason to even roll. Oops. I don't see any reason to even roll. Why didn't I just move the 100 that I took? He's going to grab that. That puts me on player 1. Well, this one is the biggest of them all. And at 120, I can sell it for 240, double price. That makes up for having gotten this. Now, this round is definitely the special round where I am not going to just go with highest, which I believe one place says. Instead, what happens with this? The investor with the highest amount of credits acts last here. So this is the round where whoever has the least money gets the first option. Well, he has the least money, but the next least is over here at orange. And I think we're kind of going in opposite order here. Spaceport was worth more though, so that jumps in there. And now I have to be kind of careful about my ordering. We have finished that first round, the prologue of the game, and so now we go here, and the public companies are available. So Orange, who is my 5th player, gets the first choice, and I'm always going to have trouble because I'm used to 6 players in games. So what does he have? He has the Tunnel Company. His big advantage is that he gets to go first. But his big advantage is he gets to blast through some of these. That'll get me through here. So maybe I'm not so worried about SM. But SM's the one that's not in play. Fuckies. So this is pretty cool for the Tunnel Company, but what do I need that for? I could take this, which is close to 2 blacks, and there's another black there. There's a red not far away. I think that actually looks good. Now, I have 250 bucks. 250 bucks, I'm allowed to buy 2 certificates at once. If I bought 4 certificates, I could set the price at 60. Here's how we're going to play this. We're going to play this as though, so the way this was worded somewhere is that when you start a corporation, let me see, there were 2 ways to interpret it. I'm going to try it the other way here, which is that at any time during that entire stock round, I can decide I just started that corporation. I can flood the open stock market. But I want to keep my valuation high. I believe in doing that in general. Oh, or do I want more shares? Given that I'm going for black black cubes, I think I want more valuation, to tell you the truth. And I've got this big thing to hit. That's going to cost me a lot of money. So I am going to buy 3 shares to begin with at 250. That gives me 10 bucks, and this money should go elsewhere. I'm going to buy, was it that one I was going to buy? This one's not bad either, because it gets me close and I could cut right in there if I need to. I got some yellow right away I could hit, but I got yellow right away here. Yeah, I think for whatever it is, Intergalactic is the best company, is the best location out there. And now this is where the game gets easy. Look at this. Very little space for these guys. That's a real sweet thing. I really appreciate the small size, even if it's not as physically attractive. I am also at this point, I have to release at least 2 to float because I used up all my money. I'm going to release 3 of these. That reduces my total cash, but it gets me more money into the corporate treasury, and that's going to put me to, let us see, I just put 6 shares at, whoops, at 80 into play. That will float him. 6 shares at 80 will be 480 bucks. greens are 25s. I know that's weird for people, but it's really important actually to make this this amount of chits work for some of the bigger games. 1, 5. Okay, so I've gone times 5, 25 times 5 again. 125? Nah, that doesn't work. Let's just make that 100 because it's easier to remember. It's numbers that are easy to work with, as easy as 1, 5, 10, 100 would be, but those 25s give me a lot more flexibility, and I find that I run out of particular bills a lot less often. I think I gotta pause for a bit. So the second player is Brown. Brown is up here. I'm gonna put the die on him to remind me that it's his go next. Okay, so now black cubes are not as, they're significantly worse than yellow, which is an issue. Of course, he's got a yellow right near him. He's got, orange is no good, but he's got a red down here, which is a little better than the black early on. So he's got room to hit nice things. But the next one's the research lab, which is going to get this plus 20 marker. Let's put these where they belong. Once that's dealt with, well, the plus 20 marker is kind of interesting. What that allows me to do, and remember, I can't sell these on the first stock round, but for the next 3 stock rounds I can. And that's only in the stock round, which is really confusing to me. So here the question is, yeah, this is still the best place, but let's ignore that because that's not available. Down here, probably not that great. DSE here, close to yellow, close to black, has a little red in the corner that's kind of appealing. What else would be interesting? Maybe being near these reds and yellows down here is not too bad. Anything else that's intriguing? I don't know. Being near 2 yellows, oh, yippee-ki-yay. But honestly, I just don't see yellows as being that good. So I'm tossing up between the DSE and the MV as my 2. The DSE has better long-term prospects. I think MV has better short-term prospects. I'm going to go 1 through 4 on the MV because I'm off in a corner and can put that someplace where nobody else can get it more easily. DSE could put it up here, or SM's not available for a while, and of course if I get to buy the second company. Nope, I am going to go for the DSE. And what am I going to put as price? Well, I have 175, 180, 275, 290 available. Does that make sense? 275, 280, 290. Yeah, I bought it for face value. Okay, 290. 290 divided by 3 would let me set it at 90. 290 divided by 4 would let me set it at 70. Huh. This is not as big a price. I'm going to go odd even on that, between 90 and 70 for starting value. I'll go with the high value. And what was I taking? I was taking DSE at 90. And we put that here. And so I have to pay 270 and I'll get the pieces out. Puts a big 540 bucks in there when I duplicate there. I think doing that duplication is a good idea. The only problem with it is if you go about 5 shares total between here and there's no guarantee that your shares are going to sell out of there. People might buy them from the corporation, but on the other hand, they may not want to give a quick flush of cash to the corporation. So it's often, a crapshoot for each investor where they want to put the money. The prices are always the same, which is very different from 1830, for example. Green is next. Green is up here at the spaceport. So let's look at what they got. They got 305 bucks. This is not a consideration at all. And if that's not a consideration, I see my top choices being maybe MV, maybe. Although that should be able to get there very easily. That the fact that it's able to doesn't mean anything. I don't even have to actually use the spaceport. Although, what's not on here is, and I don't think it's in the rules, is what happens to this if that corporation disappears, this, or private company disappears. I don't think it ever does, so not a big deal. Okay, so yeah, MV doesn't have any advantage for being close to the spaceport. It has 2 reds and a yellow available. On the other hand, the one that intrigues me a little bit more is the LP. I've got some more expense down here, but I don't have to worry about getting there. And its overall prospects look better. So I am just going to choose the LP for them. And I have 305 bucks. 305 divided by, again, 3 shares. I could buy more, but I like that 3 shares for the most part. 305, well, that gets me well above 90. So what about divided by 4 shares? That gets me to the 70. I like that better. I could get 5 shares at 60. Get all my cash out at once. That's appealing too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is 1, 2, and we'll go for the 5 shares there. We'll just dump the whole cash pile in there. An interesting concept. Nah, let's not do it that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're going to set that price at 60 for the LP. I haven't tried that yet. A really low price, buy all the shares. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to spend 300 bucks on 5 shares. We're going to try to make a lot of money early and see if we can turn another corporation out. And this is not a game so far that I've seen that a second corporation allows you to save one of your others, but maybe if I'm doing it from the beginning of the game, it'll work. $600 in there. That puts me to number 3, yellow, the UN contract. What's so special about this? Well, this gives me some power to be able to demolish trains. That's its main thing. Although, of course, I can make 25 bucks off of that. And if I sell it for 25 for 50 bucks, I still can get 80 back when I do this connection, which is interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So I control some train rush. I don't have much else under control though, which means it looks to me like MV is the best of the remaining corporations by far. Orange is worse than red at every price point. So these reds become very valuable. I'm closer to a black. It's not a great position, but at least I'm close to the rocket pad. Okay, so what do I want for my MVs? I have $325. 320 divided by 4 is 80 bucks. I say that's a good price. So that's what we're just gonna do. It goes underneath. And I'll pay that out. Remember that thing where you can buy 2 shares at once, 2 certificates at once? What you're not allowed to do, and I don't know if I mentioned this, is buy, I should have because I was reading the rules, is buy 2 president certificates at the same time. That would be a really, really powerful bonus, especially late in the game. At this point, maybe not so much. Although, if you had enough money, you could start a couple of cheap companies real fast. All right, we're now down on blue. Blue has the old landing site. What's so special about the old landing site? I'm allowed to teleport somewhere, which could be very valuable. I could teleport here, for example, where there's all kind of riches. Or maybe here, where I'm near riches and I get some initial purchasing. I also have the Space Bridge Company, which lets me cross here. Now, the Space Bridge Company is kind of a weird thing, because when I buy that, when somebody buys either the Mining Alliance or Space Mining, I have the option to sell this As soon as the president's share is sold, I'm allowed to get a 10% share of one of those corporations. That is really a bonus if I do it early. And since this one's gone, it's really an attractive incentive to grab this. How terrible is this? Well, my other option is this, which doesn't look much better. And what's nice about this is I'll be able to get to this red, and I'll be able to inject myself somewhere, like say here, which might get me some early money really quick, really good. So I will go for the MA. But I only have 210 bucks. That's not a lot of money. 210 divided by 3. 3 is the minimum number of shares that I can buy and float a company. Gets me to 70. No, 210 divided by 3 gets me to 70. That sounds good. So we'll float at 70, and I'll set that one up. I don't have to do that. I could start it 210 divided by 2, I could start it at a higher price because I have that extra share. So I would only have to have 5 shares total out. That would leave more money here. It's very, very interesting. If I started that at 90, instead I would have 30 bucks in cash lying around. That would let me buy another share maybe, you know, when we get to the next share round. But here's the problem. Because I'm going to be cash poor with this company, but that's okay. I'm going to run for. I'm going to do it at 70 because I'm leaving too much money on the table if I do it at 90. That means briefly is this now has $490 in it because the bank paid for my extra share from the Spacebridge company. One of the problems with a couple of these companies, Spacebridge company is one of them. This one not so much because it gets sold to a corporation when you get the share. There's no way to mark that this has generated the share. You just have to remember it. And there are a few little things like that in the game where there's no marker to indicate that. You can do something, you know. It is also easy enough to remember, but whatever. Okay. Before I start my next turn, I'm going to put these here. I don't think anybody has enough money to do anything, so indeed we're going to push into the first operating round. But before we do that, we have to figure out the price value, and I have to go eat dinner. So we're at the junction between those two. Following the rules now, it's whoever has the most money goes first, which is player 4, that's brown. I'll be going first for the next stock round. And then orange. And we maintain the order between green and yellow, which is here, and then blue. And then that means we're set for the next operating round. Okay, as I mentioned when I looked over the rules, I'm going to handle the private companies like they are normally in an 18xx game. Otherwise, it's never defined when they pay out to players, and it's defined oddly for the corporations, or it's not stated in such a way that it's obvious that that's even what they mean. So this doesn't give me an income. This one gives me 20. And I don't know why I'm highlighting this stuff, you know. If you've seen an XX game played, you probably know already, and if you haven't, you don't need, you know, you're probably not watching this video, to tell you the truth. $10 per. But I guess in part I wanted to do it to show that these cards are particularly difficult to read. They have a lot of text on them, all the text for the thing, and they don't very clearly blurt out what they're supposed to do. Now, all that text is useful when you need to look up how they work, but some of the information that would normally be available on them, very easily viewable, is a little harder to see, at least with my poor eyes. Okay, now we go to the first corporation, and that's going to be the highest priced one, the DSE. Well, so the DSE has to start here, You don't buy these now. You buy them in the stock round, and you can't buy it in the first stock round. It's got a fair amount of money. What was my plan with the DSE? He doesn't have a lot of shares. That's problematic, actually. That means he's not going to make as much money as the people who were able to throw a lot of shares down for themselves. And that's always a difficulty in an 18xx game, is how much cash do you need in your corporation? Because this game, multiple people can go bankrupt, which means there's no escape hatch of hoping that you're not the first one to go bankrupt, like in tournament games of 1830. Or games in which somebody feels that there's one winner. Like that's the key factor. Like, you either win or you lose the game. It's a binary choice. If you play 1830 that way, you will play differently than if you believe that you're kind of playing the role of someone who's running a corporation. Okay, so he has a fair amount of money. He has the DSE here, which currently is set up nicely to hit yellow. Black tiles are particularly not a good deal. You want to get a good start on things, so I'm going to lay this track. And like I said, you want to get a good start. So I'm going to spend 20 extra bucks. Ooh, so here's the problem. If I go in here, this guy can jump in there before me. So I may not want to spend that 20 extra bucks. Normally you would want to, though. I'm going to almost certainly want to go there at some point. So I will spend 60 extra bucks to build this. And I'll make some change. Okay. Now the next thing I get to do is buy choo-choos. Next turn I will not be able to run more than one train. So I am just going to buy myself a single 80-buck train with them. And I don't know what I have here. God damn it. Cold and see. That's 25. So I have 80 bucks goes into the bank. And I did not make a run at all, so I could not pay out. But I'm operating, so my price goes back by 1. And that brings us to the next, the INT. Hold on. I'm going to clean up that mess. Breathe a little. I wanted to mention, this has nothing to do with the design here. I just like to babble, right? You know, I can't stay focused on, hey, I'm playtesting. I'm playing the game as I would normally play it. I'm just trying to point out some extra things, which probably sucks for the designer, you know. But on the other hand, it provides the normal experience for people looking at this. They get used to the other stuff. One thing with all 18xx's, and really a lot of Euro type games, games where the complexity ramps up as you go on. I really enjoy the early part of the game before it starts getting difficult. And I'm not saying I dislike the later part of the game in most XX's, and I kind of enjoy. I think I enjoyed this one as much as most. But right now, everything's kind of open and free, and it's kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? Now, I always forget what the decisions I made are, so like my post-game synopsis is useless on an XX game. I never learn anything, except for the base things that I've learned, and then base things about the game. But I never learned anything like, I really needed to buy this then, and like, then learn that pattern or something. It's always more tenuous stuff. So the Intergalactic is over here. He's got the Tunnel Company eventually available. This is something I have to remember, like this Research Labs here. I do not know where DSE is going to be using that. There's a good chance it's all the way up here, but maybe not. I don't know. You know, it might be this one. You know, could be a lot of things. He might not use it on DSE, although he probably will, because he's not going to have a lot of cash. So Intergalactic here, again, another 30% company, so that's not going to make a lot of money, but it's in a good location. Well, here's something interesting to me. If I hook this up so DSE can come in, they probably will, and they'll build me some track. And that'll save me some effort. On the other hand, if I hook it so they can't come in, I I can get here. Which one's more valuable? I don't know. You know? So I definitely want to get here though. So I will lay this track. And I think I want to hit the red because red's worth a little bit more at this stage in the game. Eventually I do want to get to the black spaces. And then I'll lay one here and I'm going to take a wide curve and put it here. Now I've got the first opportunity to buy a dot, right? Okay. I don't know. That looks like a pretty important space. That almost guarantees me to get to the rocket pad. Might be worthwhile. I might be able to run 3 trains if I buy that. I don't want to buy 3 of those though. I don't have that kind of huge money. There's other people who have more money out there. So, in fact, I'm rather poor. So I think what I'm going to do I care about the dot that much? Kinda. That's an important dot to me. So I am going to buy the dot for 25 bucks. 25. That goes out of here. And I didn't pay for my track. I owe 40 bucks in track. Gotta be careful, I almost knocked my drink over. Okay, and now I get to buy trains, and I'm definitely buying 2 for 160. Gets me 40, make it 50. And again, I did not make a run. This makes this not as bad that I connect there, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. That's going to put it on the Moon Venture. UN contract. That doesn't really do me anything on the board. I have a red and a yellow to hook up. Reds are worth 30 now. They're better than just hooking to here, but this is real easy to hook up. Neat thing about that. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do, got to be careful because tracks run out. So I'm going to lay this here. That's my freebie. Again, I want to get moving. So I'll grab a straight track and go up here. That'll cost me 20 bucks from Moon Venture. And yeah, that popping noise, that's just, I step on bubble wrap because my ankle got hurt. And if I'm not wearing my special shoes, this helps give me a little bit more padding. I have carpeting on the other floors where I usually am. This is kind of my substitute for carpeting. And this is not a room I normally use. But I'm starting to use it more recently. Okay, so I just failed to do something, didn't I? I hope I paid the money out of the right place. Okay, I hope I did. Moon Venture has 4, 8. I started at 80 each, so it should have like 640. It looks like I did. Okay. Now I need to buy trains here. I again have room to run 2 trains. But here's the thing. If I only buy one of the trains, I'm saving money and I can buy a better train. And I can probably use a 2 and a 3. So I'm going to hold off. There's something nice about buying a couple of cheap trains, but I'm going to hold off and just buy one of these. And that gets me 20 bucks back. Make it 25. And again, does not pay out. All right. MA. What's up with MA? Well, I have the Space Bridger Company, and I used the special ability for that. And I have the old launch site, which I can't use yet, but I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. It might slip me into a place like up here, which could be very useful to me. So, what am I going to do? Well, I get an opportunity to buy 2 good trains. What I do not have is this orange is worth shit for the early part of the game, so I probably want to get from yellow to yellow. That means I'm going to be blasting through something big. Ouch. Well, if I gotta do it, I gotta do it, and I should do it early. No reason to believe I'm going to own this. Other people have more shares, maybe more income coming into them. So I am going to spend a lot of money. What am I going to do? I'm going to take... It's hard because I don't know the track in this game. I don't know what the upgrades are likely. This seems easier than the sharp curve there, but it's hard. It's really hard to tell which one is better. And then, ooh, you know what I don't know? I don't know where this goes. You know what? I'm going to go with the sharp curve because it gives me the opportunity to enter this from this direction or from this direction. Now, problem is this guy will probably be a dick and put it in the wrong direction so that it's facing down here. But this gives me more options. I don't know. Maybe I'm being stupid. Let me take a look at what the yellow tiles look like, because that'll give me a hint. So if he goes here, that goes to here. If he goes here, it goes way down there, and that's the shitty location. Okay. And they are all the same? No. This one? Okay, that one's pretty bad. And this one, okay. So those are his three choices. Pretty much whatever I do, he's going to fuck me. I'm pretty sure of that. Which means I can't count on getting there. That's what it means. That sucks. Okay, and I can't lay here, which means this is the only other place I'm going to be able to go. I'm kind of screwed in a way that I did not expect to be. All right. Well, no reason to set it up so that I have to pay for the next track. And I think I'll pay the $20 to lay track here. Now, I'd kind of like two trains, but I could always slam into here or up here. Those are both acceptable. So I spent 20. I have all this money. Great. It's not going to do me any good. Actually, it's not all that much. And I will buy myself a 2 and a 3 train. That makes green track immediately available. So I have a little bit more capability. I can upgrade this and make my choices as to where I go. So that's not as bad as it looks. And that's going to cost me $220. And I have... I've created a phase change in the game. And again, I'm spelling out all this stuff, you know, like I would in my 1830 intro. Just because I want to make sure I'm catching everything as I'm playing for whatever reason. And it's probably not helping anyone particularly. Okay. And no dots, obviously. All right. I'm not going to be able to use both my trains, but I bought a 3 train early. I'm going to want it. It's sort of the cheap thing. All right, now to the LP, who has tons and tons of money, I would assume. Yeah, looks like quite a bit. All right, he's got the spaceport, so he doesn't have to worry about ever trying to get here. His run. Oh. Well. People can beat me here, so I don't want to set myself up so I race into there. However, what I do want to do is I still want to grab, so I'm heading this way, and I want to grab this hex because somebody can kind of fuck me over if I don't. And we're beginning to run low on pieces. I'm going to want this to go down to here. I don't think I'm going to put a token here yet. That's going to cost me $40 to get in there for the LP. And we will not be going in this level of detail for most of the game. I'm just... I've got plexiglass on this because it's a rolled up map for shipping ease, and that makes things slide around more than they normally would. And what do I need for trains? Well, I can run a 2-train right now, and I don't have a 2-train. I'm only going to be able to run to at most 3 areas. I could conceivably run 2 trains, but at most 3 areas. So I'm going to just buy one of these for 140 for the Lunar. There's the 40. There's the 100. Okay. No reason for dots. Who is this LP? He's got the spaceport. We're good. And we also fall back. Everybody flips back over. I do this the upside down because it maintains that order well. But in some games it does not work right. And is this one of them? No. There's somewhere, oh, I know. It's the ones where the price can stay the same in a space. There's only a few of those. This is one of them. The price does not always move. So you got to be careful in those cases to figure out who was first in the space. And that's not always obvious. And I do have to be careful. Anyway, that will put me to the next operating round. And it's time for me to pause. And I'll probably withdraw a little bit from the explanations, especially during the operating round. But in general, the designer provided me with a couple of notes from the rules, updates, corrections, whatever you want to say. The SD, it is supposed to be a free extra token. I think it actually says that on here. Can use this as a supply depot during the game. The token will occupy the SD spot and continue during upgrades, which is different from what the rules say. The rules seem to indicate that it's holding a place. And the other one was the Rift Company. Had a tax, a 10 credit tax if anybody runs over the Rift. That's gone away. That was an artifact from an earlier edition of the rules. So, yeah. So to tell you the truth, I actually played it right the first time. And since I haven't really affected anything, I'll do that. It did kind of impact my desire for this. An extra token is actually a big deal. Probably a bigger deal than the plus 20 over here, to tell you the truth, because other people can use this too easily. That's an extra blocking space that can be really, really potent. The ability to worm looked particularly good to MA, but he was stuck kind of taking a company he didn't really want no matter what. And it made MA more attractive than his only other option. Because quite simply, the way that the companies float, where they can throw a bunch of stocks in there, that changes the game in very, very intrinsic ways. You can get a lot of money into your companies to begin with. You can make sure they get to 50%, whatever. There's not a lot of money on the players, investment-wise. They wouldn't be able to buy 50% of companies unless they set them at very low values or didn't have privates, etc. So, I mean, it's all balanced out. It's not like this magically changes, now it's a game with lots more money than you need. Not at all. It's just, it's a means of, it's a situation in which everybody, no matter how big their privates are, actually does have the money to start a company. Now, I mean, it's possible somebody buys a bunch of the privates and makes it so they can't start a corporation to begin with. They're probably fine. They probably can make money as an investor. They'll be getting the income from these, and they can probably start a company not too long in the future. And then use all those privates for whatever purpose. So I wouldn't imagine that it's a good strategy to try to saddle somebody with all of them. If they have to want them also. Okay. Enough's going on in this first part of the second operating round. I want to catch a little bit of it. First of all, I paid out the privates to all the investors. And then the DSC starts. And I laid 2 tracks, set this one up so that it kind of dicks over the MA a little bit, but maybe not all that much. We'll see. But this is not a good piece for them. And the key is, I didn't really want to hook this up. All I've got with the DSE right now is a 2-train So I'm only going to be able to run a 2 train. I think this space is important. Double dot spaces tend to be important. Let's see who owns the DSC, the research lab. I got this plus 20 marker. Now, if I put this sucker on here and ran through this twice, I would get huge income. No one can reach here right now. Purple could connect up to here, but they can't upgrade right away. So I think I will hold, I think I will hold, make sure I got this in the right place, off on my track build. Now, if I was really clever, I would have just cut straight up. Maybe I want to do that. See, the thing is, this is a cheaper track leg. But getting this double really works in nicely with my intentions. So I think I'm actually going to do this. And that means I don't want this dot yet. I was going to buy it. What I do want, however, is another choo-choo. But first, I get to run my train. And my train is going to run between, and this is why it's kind of interesting, a variable in yellow hex, that's 30. And then a yellow in a green hex. Oh, I can't have that. Shit. I screwed up. Yeah. There's the problem. Okay. I grabbed the wrong pile. Right. So I don't know what's going on, is what I'm saying. What I'd like, then, is maybe this. But the problem with that is, what does that upgrade to? It does not upgrade to this piece, which was the one I wanted. It upgrades to this piece, but that is definitely not what I want. So this is not the piece I want to lay. And this is where double dot pieces are a pain in the ass. So if what I want, this is the only sharp hook to one of these suckers, and they're equally, so this is the direction I'd want. In order to get to that, I could play this, right? No. I could play this, or this. This one looks more attractive to me for a number of reasons. I think there's less control that somebody else can throw on it. I definitely do not need to lay that tile, but it means I don't have the extra piece of track. Well, what do I want to do with that extra piece of track? In the short run, hooking this up makes sense, but you know what? In the long run, I'm going to want this track to exist, and I want to prevent him from doing it. So that's going to cost me $40. Now, I don't think I spent anything yet. I'm not positive of that, but I can't really remember. And now I run my train, which is as usual. I'll be running between here. That's going to be a $30, and this is a yellow. On a yellow is 40, so I run for $70. Now I could just swallow that. That would send my stock value back, and I don't want to do that. So I'll run for 7 a share. But you know what? That won't move my marker forward, which kind of sucks, but it's better than falling back, I guess. I think. I don't know, $70 in my treasury. I only get 21 bucks off this. 70 bucks in the treasury, which is better. And I think I want to run for the money. Which means I got to track these. So 28 bucks goes into here. and then I get 21 bucks here, 26, just because I don't want too many fives out there. And we've stayed still. We did not run for enough money to beat our share value, so we don't go forward. However, we're going to fix that by buying one of these for 125, 140 bucks. And now our stock should start making some progress. Yeah, I mean, you have to make sure you have enough trains in this version to be able to go forward. And that will put it on the int, and let me do some thought about that. It has 2 trains, and they want to run them both. Well, one of them can run between here. The other one, I can either link into this and run to here, which isn't terrible. Right now, it's a 30 buck space, but it's a blocked tab. If I run this way, I can't build the track here. Whereas here, I could spend 50 bucks and get into there. And that probably is my better move. Another option would be to shift up here. Oranges aren't worth shit though. And yes, I'd only spend 10 bucks for this, which might seem appealing, but I think I can afford the money. Although this guy doesn't have a whole lot. There are shares in here, so he's going to be funding himself with some cash. Drop any dots, I'll be hitting this, which is 30 bucks, plus a yellow, which is 40, so that's 70, and another 30 for this run brings me to 100, and then 130. 130 is not twice 70, but it's enough to get me forward. And I will pay that out, although, again, you know, I'm a little cash poor with 2 trains on there, but those shares are going to help me. MV was able to pay out only 7 a share for their payout, and that only got them 14 in their company treasury, and I forgot to pay him. 7 times 4 is 28. Gotta remember, I'm okay when I'm not doing the bidding, but when I do the bidding to this intensity, I sometimes fuck things up a little more than I should. Okay, so now I'm set up here. I definitely want to buy another train for 140 because I've got the capacity to run 2 trains. I'll be able to slide up here. But here's what's interesting. I could buy a 3 and a 4 train conceivably. That would cost me 380 bucks. I have enough cash. I will not be able to run both trains right now. This will probably be available. If it's not, this will be available, and I had better grab one. So I'm just going to buy one of these for 140. I just wanted to think about it. 125, 140, because it's kind of an issue. Now, unlike, I made only 7 a share, but unlike these guys, I was only on the 70 space, so I get to move forward. Now with 2 trains, I'll be able to move forward again. So DSE has sort of suffered in its position to everyone else. These guys are going to go before them onto MA. No, game already sucks for MA. There are no more wide curve cities. You know, those things do run out sometimes in the early stages of the game, but that's what I absolutely wanted here. I'm going to need to buy a sharp curve one to get into here. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's going to make my capability to move around here. Now, orange sucks. However, my path down is either to here, and the ME is not yet in play. When somebody gets enough cash, they'll open that up, but I can't lay a track here until they do. The restrictions in this game are the base areas are prevented, so I'm kind of stuck there. Remember, I do have the spanner. So this might not be a bad choice. I currently have a 2 and a 3 train, which I'm not going to be able to run both of. So I'm a little shit out of luck here. I got a lot of trainage. I'm going to be able to count on getting through there, and that will be able to happen next round. So, no it won't, because I didn't have a wide curve. Fuck. Okay, so that's 20. And I think I'll just lay the straight track here because I got too many trains, you know, for the track that I have set up right now. That's going to change real fast, but this doesn't really hurt me much. You know what? I'm not going to spend for this. This is 20 bucks in track. I am going to... I'm going to lay this instead. 30, 50 bucks in track I have to spend. I don't have enough cash to buy another train. Again, my 70 bucks was enough to get me forward, so paying out definitely worthwhile. And now to the mighty LP, and God knows what that's up to. That's sitting on only a single train, a 3 train. I got the option to buy the first 4. Nothing too exciting happens when you buy it. Might want to. I can get up to here. So right now I'm running a train here. Black is not as good as orange. Yeah, it's better than orange. This is kind of shitty. I don't know that I want to try breaking down there. LP's looking pretty shitty actually in terms of where it is. Another option is I could run up this way and force him to make the connection in. The disadvantage to that, not much. Right now I've got a single train, so I could hit these 3 locations if I did that. It costs me a little bit. This is worth more, so hitting these 3 would be more valuable. But I don't really care about this, so I think I'm going to build track, if I can, to screw him over. There are still straight tracks. Lucky me. So that's 10. And now I need a sharp hook. 20. No, so sorry. This is the last city available. 10, 20, 30. Oh well. 40, 50 bucks in track lays. Got their money. I want to think about see, they've got their problems. I think I want a token here. This looks like a valuable place. So that's 25 more bucks going down the drain. And I also bought a train. Now I'm doing that in the wrong order. I should have bought the token before I bought the train, but I think this token is going to be very, very important. It's on a black space. It's controlling access to the upper portion of the board, assuming my upgrade. But I definitely like the idea of upgrading the black tile, the black spaces. And by getting that extra train, I may not be running them at maximum quality right now, but I'll be able to run from here to here. And if this guy hooks into me, which it looks like he wants to, I'll be able to expand out to there. Now, I've got a lot of train, a 3 and a 4 train at this stage in the game. And that's a really questionable thing. Problem is, I am very, very fucking poor. All my shares are out here. I spent all my money already because I started at a low value. And I am going to have to swallow with the LP, that's for sure. And if I'm going to be swallowing, I'd better have 2 trains to do it. It's probably going to end up with either a 5 or a 6 train at the end of the game, with some expense in doing so. The nice part, I have a lot of shares. The bad part, they're not going to make a lot of money because I didn't leave anything in here. Yep. I bought too many shares. I should not have set it at that low price. It seemed like a clever idea. Let's get more shares out there. But what it's going to do is overall, it's going to keep my share price depressed. Other people are probably going to make as much money as I do because I'm going to have to swallow. Although I could generate a lot of money and maybe get a feeder line if I'm lucky. I think that's the end of this video as we push into the stock round. And I'm going to load this one up. But yeah, we've kind of seen where the beginning is now. You know, let's take a quick look at the companies. The SE looks okay. We'll see where this goes, but they've got plans for that. I probably won't follow them. I'll probably fuck them up. But that's the way life is. But I've got plans for that involve the plus 20 marker. INT, a little truncated, but they can break their way into one of these pathways. They're going to be going early, so breaking this way will not help. Who's next here? MV. Kind of being left alone. They look like they're in good shape. They've got a lot of room to expand and grow in. They might be able to get into here. It doesn't look like anything's going to stop them, except maybe lack of track. Looks like there's enough of those. So they might be able to hit that, which would screw up his double hitting of that with the plus 20s, so he may not want to do it. MA. They got badly hosed. DSE was able to screw them over, and we'll see how much they can recover from it. And then finally the LP, which we can see is in some serious cash problems, although they have a nice track positioning as far as I can tell. So that should be kind of neat for them. We still have a corporation available with the ME. I don't think anybody's got that kind of money. But remember, you can sell these suckers during the stock round, and they don't really cost you anything to do so. I mean, they rape your company, but it would be possible for someone to float that money in there. So you don't have to wait until the 3 trains come out or anything like that, although they did. It's just on that second stock round you can do it. All right, so that's kind of a summation of where we are. It's kind of funny because in terms of stuff that I'm learning as I play it a second time, I don't know how much I'm going to give in terms of playtest. I'll say this much. So far, from the first playthrough, it seems like a reasonable game. I'm not seeing anything that I really dislike about it yet as an 18XX. It's always wow, I really dislike this. There are some things that need polishing in the rules, maybe some component changes, etc. Because I've got to tell you, these are expensive in terms of a lookup. They are painful. Not now, but later in the game, they start becoming really painful. And so I think some kind of solution, for me at least, would be needed. This maybe needs some kind of tweaking. It feels like the values are, in the first play at least, were a little too low to really encourage people to do it. There wasn't any real anything except the sort of, hey, look, I did it. That was kind of the thing that was driving it. And I kept looking at it for the companies that were kind of set up for it. And I'm like, they make more money hitting other things. Now, that may have been the particular resource setup. There may be resource setups where it's very valuable. But in that particular case, I didn't see it. These $20 off map things, they're just not very appealing. Now, if you're looking at this yellow cubes being what you have around you, maybe towards the end of the game, 20 doesn't look so bad with that bonus. But, in the play that I ran through, everybody was able to hit lots of nice, yummy black cubes. It was actually pretty hard to stop people from getting places. This thing being a valuable spot that lets you shoot in all directions, that's not common in most XX games, to have a thing like that people don't end up dotting to hell. So that's an interesting feature in the game, which, although the track does get cluttered up and people got cut off from there, at least one player got cut off from there in that play, other players were able to get some pretty good runs. It's not like there's any dots down here either. So it's like there's this big flexible thing and then enough room to maneuver that you can probably get out of there. The only thing stopping it was not a lot of upgrades available. other areas of the map became very, very difficult to deal with. So there's kind of a, even if you don't need this for some reason, there's a reason to want it just to increase your runs, because this area of the map is very flexible to getting you to other areas of the map that, you know, have the value in them. And it's just, it's an interesting thing. It kind of reminds me of Paris in, oh, what the hell is it? I don't know, there's a French one that I have, 1826 or something like that, I don't know, where Paris was really, really open. But the way the track worked meant that people could get all over the place, and it was really hard to stop anyone. It had sort of an 18OE, 18EU flavor to the track lays, I think, if I was correct, where like you don't have to follow the flow of the track. Yeah. This has the more 1830 style track, and 1829 for that matter, where you can't make sharp turns in either direction. So for example, this piece, you can only go this way. In that style of track lay, it would be built to be sort of a triangle, as if it was a city. We have some cities that are built like that. So like this city, you can go in any direction. You know, you can go in one direction, come out in any other direction. That's not the case in most of the 18XX games, but a few of them have more flexible, you have more flexibility in using the track once it's played. All right, enough babbling for whatever that's worth. I think it's my bedtime.